Hey, John Crestani here. I've been marketing for almost 15 years now, and I've earned hundreds of millions of dollars working with businesses and over $30 million for myself. And I'm going to go over multi channel attribution today, or multi touch attribution, as it's also known as. And we're going to talk a little bit about how important this is for marketing and why I also think it is dead. And I'll go over all of the reasons why. But understanding multi touch attribution at first, it'll boost your marketing ROI if you actually know where your marketing spend's going. Also, it's pretty important if you're allocating budget, specifically across channels, across contractors, across departments. Super important to understand. And I'm going to go over some of the best tools to do it. And I'm also going to go over, towards the end, some kind of advanced stuff, talking about how you can really almost hack it together for your own company or for your own organization and use it to just basically do marketing better. So, there's a lot of problems with, well, let's go into this first, right? So there's a lot of problems with multi-touch attribution because, the things are usually like, maybe you don't know what's causing the sale. Right. Where is the sale coming from? Is it coming from Google, Facebook, email, remarketing? Is it coming from the salespeople? How effective is each one of these touch points? Right. Is it coming from the white papers? Is it coming from the webinars? Right. What is it actually coming from? Is one of the biggest questions in marketing. Okay. And how do you actually attribute it right? We're going to go over I think there's 7 different models of multi-touch attribution. Which of the models actually applies to your use case? Is the first touch more important? Is the last touch more important? Is the middle stuff more important? Should it be some sort of algorithmic, very complicated system? And how do you track all that in kind of like today's era where, all these tracking mechanisms and privacy things are making it really hard to actually see sometimes where your marketing's coming from and how it all loops together, and especially with bigger organizations where you have privacy laws and all, or regulations, right? Maybe you don't know how to properly put your marketing spend around, and I'm going to show y'all how this is done. So let's go over some of the different types of MTAs. Okay, so the first one is pretty obvious, right? We have the first interaction, where you give all the credit to the first interaction. And the typical use case for this, this is just the easiest, when you're doing Facebook ads, for instance, to a cold audience, right? You just kind of say, oh, Facebook created the sale. Facebook created the customer. And you're not doing a one-to-one though. What you're actually looking for, you're saying maybe I want a 3x ROAS. Okay. So that's an easy thing. Now, last interaction attribution is where you give all the credit to the final touch point in the actual, for the actual sale. Oh, let me see if I can get this over here. Cool. Okay. I can't draw? No. And to everyone who's live, hey, how's it going? I'll be going over questions towards the end. Okay. So the reality is that it's something, the best, what's best? First interaction attribution or last? The answer is it depends. Okay. Now there's some other terminology people use, right? A full path model where you're actually looking at each of the different interactions. Okay. And you're giving them sort of like a linear attribution. You're saying, okay, this, the salesperson is 20% of the sale. Marketing is 40% of the sale. And you kind of allocate your budget accordingly to that. Time-based decay gives more, credit to recent interactions. And the idea is maybe you are already constant, you're working with a big brand and you're already in front of people's faces. There's consistent communication. You want to see what's going on, you know, the last interaction might be the most important, the way you sum it up. A W-shaped model is usually there's a key event. What this is where, let's say people first come in, they hear about you word of mouth, and then there's some remarketing ads that come in. Maybe you heard about McDonald's, word of mouth. There's some maybe marketing ads, right? You give those lesser credit in this example. And then maybe there's, I don't know, an in-store interaction, etc. Right? You buy it from DoorDash, get remarketed, and you go into the store. Okay. A U-shaped model gives obviously more credit to the first and the last. Usually it's because companies just didn't set up their tracking right and they have too many variables and touch points to look at, so they're confused. Custom models, right? Everything's going to be, at the end of the day, and we're going to go over a little bit about custom models. These are really Markov chain distributions is what they're called. But I'm going to go over a little bit about that and why really the perfect tracking model for any business is going to be custom. But first, let's understand things, right? So what is, we talked about what it is. We talked about how it works. What is the purpose of MIA? And we also have, what is the purpose of multi-touch revenue attribution report in HubSpot? So one of the tools you can use for multi-touch attribution, which is pretty good, is HubSpot, right? But the reality is you're probably already working with another CRM, okay? And if you're already working with another CRM, that's fine. You can do multi-touch attribution through tagging effectively. And I'm going to go over in practice how we might actually, I'm going to go over some advanced tips for how, if you're in a, how you can do this. Okay, but if you're looking to get started with, how do I, what should be my marketing CRM? How should I even analyze this? Where do we, I'd say HubSpot is a very good choice, and it integrates with a lot of other, like a gazillion other, softwares, which is really, I think, the most important point of a marketing CRM, or really any other marketing tools, is that ability to interact easily with other programs is really key. Now, for me, I think the best part about HubSpot is really the integrations in the email. But let's go into actually going through a very interesting thing about multi-touch attribution, which is Markov chain distributions, okay? Now, Markov chain distributions are where you're giving different amounts of credit to every different touch point in the cycle. Now, to do this effectively, you have to set up your marketing effectively so you can actually have a workable number. You can't have like just a crazy mind maps of lines and stuff everywhere. You want to make sure there's a funnel and you actually understand the key events that customers are going to go through. And I'm going to explain to you what key events are because it's very important. Okay, but in this example, we see that folks that end up going to, they start in, what is this? The beach. They don't get injured as much, okay? And it's just assigning weights to these different things. Let me give a better example. So what you're looking at is you're looking at any variable in the flow with or without that actual, let me make this a little bit smaller so it's easier to see. So you're looking at it with or without that certain element inside of the actual funnel. Now, this is pretty important because sometimes you'll do a piece of marketing. Maybe it's an email. Maybe it's a text message. Maybe it's an ad that causes people to not want to buy your product or to go down a rabbit trail so they don't no long, so they end up finding your competitor, let's say. Okay. And we want to avoid these pitfalls. The coat's coming off. The coat's coming off. What's up, chat? Anyone there? Cool. Couple people out here. Friday night. Hope y'all are doing good. Let me know where you're from. Type your country in the chat. Love to know where y'all are from. So, how this works in practice. So, what we're looking for is we really, to do this in, let me bring this up. To set up a tracking effectively from many sources, you need to identify your key moments, right? The key journey moments. And the key journey moments are going to look something like this, okay? It's going to be a white paper download. It's going to be somebody watches a webinar. It's going to be somebody uploads a key file when they're using your software, going through whatever process, you're having them go through. Maybe they're already an engaged customer and you're trying to upsell them. You're trying to do something else, right? Maybe it's, if you're a software company, it's multiple logins. Maybe it's 3 logins over the course of a month. Maybe it's an ad, maybe it's a remarketing ad click, maybe it's an app install. But these key moments are pretty important if you can track them, right? Now, and I'm going to go over why multi-touch attribution is basically dead in a second. Now, the reality is that a lot of stuff can't be tracked, okay? An impression of a post that somebody posted about you, somebody's visit to a review site, a site you don't control that talks about you, and they didn't go to your website, right? It could have been a word of mouth discussion somebody was having. It could have been a recommendation on the stage of a conference, right? It could have been an employee interaction about some software they were using, right? You can never figure out all the touch points, and there's a lot of this stuff can be really important, right? For instance, if somebody talked about maybe, I don't know, a software, let's call it HubSpot, from the stage of a marketing, some conference, right? Who do you attribute that to? Do you attribute that sale to the organic search results? Do you attribute that sale to the paid search results they clicked on? Or do you attribute that sale to some person who spoke about your company at a conference, right? And how do you allocate that budget effectively, right? Now, other marketers would say, oh, our pay-per-click advertising is doing great, right? But really, they say, put more money into the pay-per-click advertising. People are clicking on your brand name. But the reality is that people might be clicking on your company's name or your ad or whatever because they found out about you some other way, because you spent $25,000 hiring a speaker at a conference or something along those lines. So how do you determine where the marketing budget goes? And the reality is, in most organizations, it's used completely inefficiently because A, you can't track all these things, and B, how do you create models to do that? Okay. So here, I'd say the first step is understanding your company's, how people actually find out about you and how people actually interact with your company. So, everything could start with, just good product, right? You have a good product and people talk about you, right? It could start in other ways. And I think marketing and product are actually very tied in many respects. So I almost think they're the same budget and they're the same essential activity in many cases. At least they should be under the same banner because they all affect each other. So now, understanding these key events will help you understand where you actually, sometimes if will understand where you actually put your budget. And in this case, this example, there's a traffic source, a remarketing event, and salespeople. Many companies, what I've seen being done in many companies and many marketers doing this is they tag every single email. They tag every single video. They create a different tag for every single different white paper that they create. They create a tag for every different specific thing that a customer can do. And this is wrong, okay? This is wrong. If you create a gazillion tags when you're using a marketing CRM, you're just befuddling everyone. You're befuddling yourself, you're befuddling your employees, you're befuddling anybody who might make use of that data, right? So what's the solution, right? If you have a ton of white papers, just have one tag for a white paper, right? If you're actually looking to figure out, should we spend more money putting together white papers? Should we spend more money? What percentage of the budget should go to developing webinars and ongoing training on our product? What percentage of our budget should go to getting people to upload a file to our software, right? That's product, right? Some of these are product development related things. Now for Facebook's key event was having people add 5 friends. And they found the faster they could get people to add 5 friends, to do 5 friend requests, they had a user, okay? And they had a lot of usage. So what they did is they built their entire onboarding sequence around getting their people signing up for Facebook to have 5 friends. Now, what is that number, and what is that thing for other companies? Well, for a company like Crunchbase, what is the key event? What is the key event? All right. Well, the key event, right? One is signing up for a free trial, obviously, right? Sign up for a free trial, of course, right? That's obvious to any marketer. But what's the next key event? Well, the next key event is actually downloading a list, right? Downloading a list of contacts, okay? Downloading a list of contacts. And using their advanced filters and downloading a list, right? So all of these things are very interesting. And when you boil marketing down to just a few key events you need people to walk through, you can start pushing those events, right? You can start pushing that key action that you want your customers or prospects or leads or whatever to take. Now, my take on why, and hearing this example, I thought this was kind of interesting. So in this case, we can estimate these numbers, and we can say roughly there's a 0.6, let's call the baseline 0.6, how important each factor is to attribution, Google and Facebook. And we have remarketing at 0.8. So what we would do here is we would say, well, if remarketing is having that big of effect on budget, more budget should be allocated to remarketing. And oftentimes people misconstrue remarketing as thinking it's just, ads. It's also emails, it's also text messages, it's also phone calls. It's anything you do with interacting with the customer after they've gotten on kind of your platform or whatever. Now, in this case, I would argue that if this company was spending $100,000 a month on Facebook and Google, we would want to spend 33% of that budget. We would want to spend $33,000 a month developing our remarketing and seeing if we can keep getting it better, because it's having that big of an effect on the sale and people actually buying. Again, so just to give you an idea there, could be, once again, that remarketing could be maybe emails, or maybe it's you're sending people blog posts, or maybe you have product features within the product that could be classified, that'll be classified as product development, right? So it spans all these things. Now, why is MTA dead, right? Why did I say that? How do I make this full screen? Well, let's just zoom out a little bit. Because there's so many walled gardens now, regulations going up, all this stuff's happening where the big media censorship and all this stuff is going on. We have these all these cronyist, interactive advertising bureau and all these things kind of clamping down that are basically puppets of the government. Where is it going? Right? Well, there's going to be more walled gardens. The internet's not new. We're not in cowboy country anymore. It's not the wild west of the internet. The government absolutely is regulating more and more of what people can say and do, and what information can be traded between platforms, between countries, between departments, etc. Right? Between softwares even. So all of this stuff is getting a bit messier. In addition to that, we have, people are using, why can't I wish my thing worked. I wish I could draw on my screen. Sorry, guys. But we have all of this stuff going on, and then people using different emails, people using different devices. It's hard to even match data. If somebody logs in on a phone and then uses a different email here and uses a spam email when they initially signed up, and etc. It just gets complicated. So what's the long and short of how the best way to use multi-channel attribution? The goal most people are actually going for with multi-touch attribution is they're actually trying to find out what's the ideal conversion flow for a customer. And the reality is that it's very easy to get this knocked down. And you don't need expensive software. You don't need expensive consulting agencies to help you. The reality is, look at your competitors. Go secret shopping. Look at 5 competitors, 10 competitors. Go secret shopping. Go soup to nuts through their actual sale flow. Okay? Soup to nuts through their actual sale flow. Soup to nuts, right? Till, buy their actual product. Literally buy 5 to 10 of your competitors' products. And look at exactly what they did and what important things they were pushing in their funnel. How many email follow-ups? How many text message follow-ups? What other interactions? Were there app notifications? Did they ask you to download an app? Did they ask you to read a blog post? What were all of those different actions that they were really pushing you to participate in? Right? Were they trying to get you to join their Facebook group? Were they trying to get you to join their Telegram group? Were they trying to get you to call them? Were they trying to get you to book a call? Were they trying to get you to upload a list? Were they trying to get you to read some report? Right? If you go through 5 to 10 of your competitors' entire cycles, actually buy their product, you will likely, the best way is actually going back, reverse engineering, and starting from what your competitors are doing and what their funnel is and what key events they're pushing, and then do something like that. And we call that I call it the imitation game. And in marketing, it's how I've made money, and it's how I've taught tens of thousands of other people to make money as affiliate marketers, because I just simply showed people, find the best find the best types of posts out there, find where are people posting about products and what are they saying, right? And I tell people to do that, and it works. But it doesn't just work. It works across all marketing, right? Whereas multi-touch attribution, what it's really, there's companies selling multi-touch attribution, consulting or whatever, $50,000 a month. I don't kid you. And why are they pitching? Why are they selling it? This multi-touch attribution like that, right? Why are companies paying that, right? Customers want to understand where to allocate budgets. But the reality is that you don't need to make it complicated to make sense of it. You can just look at what the best practices are happening in other companies in your industry. And good marketing crushes. Good marketing, using the best-in-class funnels in whatever industry you're in, will always get you an amazing ROI. So, my volume's low. Well, hopefully something came through. But, hey, Wolf Warrior, hey, Winners Club, leads product or solve a problem. Yeah, that's great. Well, if anybody has any questions, I'll take some questions. Otherwise, I'm going to end this training on multi-touch attribution. Hope you guys found it a little bit interesting. I love marketing, so I love sharing it with the world. I want to get people stoked about marketing. Marketing changed my life. It's allowed me to live a life of freedom, of family, and do some crazy stuff, right? So, yeah, cool. Hi, Clifford. Any questions about marketing? We're at that point in the show. No? Guys? Well, it's great seeing everyone here. I'm going to continue doing a lot of marketing trainings, just sort of like this, I'm going to teach different concepts about marketing on this channel, just to get me back into kind of like the flow of YouTube. Talk about promoting impact products. Yeah, I'm really, what I'm promoting here is not impact products, or different softwares. What I'm promoting is, I don't know, just getting excited about marketing, But yeah, I'm just doing affiliate marketing. Interesting. Yeah, so what we're going after is I'm not going to go on too much longer, but ask your questions. I'm going after keywords, right? So we're going after keywords here because, what I did was I found out there's a lot of really poor information on these keywords. And how I'm going about my videos is just finding places where I find the marketing information extremely poor, right? And giving information on that's better. I don't know if it's ego or what, but it just irks me when I see horrible information. I'm thinking I have a much better opinion on that. So I'm just going out and sharing those opinions, which is kind of cool. All right, folks, I see no other questions. All the best. Impact affiliate products. They've got thousands. Just go on there. All right, folks, all the best. Have a great day. See ya. Have a good Friday.